ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to a brand new episode with the Side of Chaos. This is Patricio, a.k.a. Rocky. I don't have the salty tonight, but I do have a sub. Well, no, you're not a sub. Are you?
No.
No?
I'm permanent.
Yeah. I like how you knew what I was doing, and then you completely diverted it. Thank you so much for that. But over the next few weeks, because of HHN, that is Halloween Horror Nights, I will not be here as often as you see me. So I'm actually going to be working with a lot of content creators throughout Central Florida who will be subbing in as guest co-hosts or hosts of the show while I am busy scaring people. Actually, I know we're going to be working together, actually.
Yeah, we are.
And there'll be some times where, I'll ask you if you want to do a show. But I want to give this a try to see how it goes. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Shay. I like to party. I like to create art. I like to live my life and try to be the happiest that I can every single day and really not let anything affect what tomorrow brings for me. I believe in a better today, a better tomorrow. And yeah.
You're just positive on positivity.
I definitely try to be. I'm not always positive on positivity, but I try to be. I try to maintain that kind of balance because somebody has to.
No, and I remember because we just got back into contact this past week when we met up at HHN, and immediately our friendship just came back through a full fire.
Yeah, we never left.
Yeah, and being surrounded by everybody over there, I'm not talking crap. I'm not, Actually, no, I am talking crap because we dealt with a lot of divas last week, didn't we?
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of people that were very much kind of oh, I want to go and do this and I want to do it this way, and it's just so mixed between the people that are new and the people that have done this before. So it's very much the ones that have done it before kind of impatient because we have to sit and wait around, but everyone else is kind of chit chatting and they're super excited, but also they're super excited and then they talk bad about it at the same time.
Yeah, and that's the one thing that upsets me because I've been doing this for 10 years and this is my 10-year mark. And do you remember when our coordinator had everyone raise their hands on all the years that you've done this? Mm-hmm. And then my old ass, my hand was still up. Have you done this for 10 years? I'm like, yes, I really enjoyed doing it. Don't put me on the spot like that. But I love it. No, it's always fun to do it because we're being paid to scare people. We're being paid to have a great time and bring that energy to life, whether it's a intellectual property or a universal original. We're being put in that spot. We were picked for that spot because someone saw something that we didn't see, and they think you know what? This person's got it. Let's put them in blood, cover them with crazy outfit, and let's put a strobe light behind them, put some music, some scary sounds, and play some weird, cool sound effects and get them to scare people.
What I really like is when it's a completely original concept in the sense of they master it and they make it, they create it. So the roles that they have for that are normally extremely open in the sense of the ways that you can scare people and the things that you can do, because you're not necessarily a werewolf, you're a werewolf, goblin, vampire at this. So it's you have so many different ways that you could scare, because when have we ever seen a werewolf, goblin, vampire that we have a comparison to be able to model after?
But they do it so well.
Yeah.
And it sounded like we were having a conversation amongst us, but no, we do have guests in studio. And of course, I'm going to bring them up right up on the screen. You've seen them before as a guest, as someone who brings in a guest. And once again, he's doing it again. Boris from Mills Gallery. How you doing, brother?
I am good. Thank you for this opportunity.
No, dude,
it's very nice meeting your co-host.
Yes.
And Boris, towards the mic, you know that.
Yes.
Towards the mic.
But no, it's always fun because Boris will hit me up on Facebook, and it's never oh, hey, how's everything going? What's up? Listen, we got to do this.
Yeah.
And
he's passionate.
Oh no, he's extremely passionate, and that's what I love about him, because he's never steered me wrong. Anytime that he's said, "Hey, listen, you should have insert blank on the show. They're doing insert blank. They're doing this, they're doing that." I'm like, you know what? You've never steered me wrong. Let's do it. And on this venture, I'm sitting down with the lovely, the talented Kristy Lee. How you doing, Kristy?
I am wonderful. Thank you. Thanks for having me. And this opportunity is amazing.
No, thank you for coming on the show. I know we talked a few
Yes.
months ago. Not if was it months ago?
Yeah, I think it's actually been 2 months.
Been 2
months
months.
or so. Yeah.
We had met at Mills Gallery, and I was talking with Gabby. You actually introduced me to Gabby West.
Well, I had actually met you before in another way.
in another way. Chris.
Yeah.
Oh,
Chris.
yes.
Yeah, the loss of
yeah.
a wonderful talent.
It and that one's still, it's still fresh on the wounds right there
Yeah.
with everything that's happened, and we'll go into that down the road.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
yeah.
But no, when we met at Mills Gallery that evening, that's like when we actually were able to talk
Absolutely. Yes.
outside
yeah,
of everything that had gone on.
yeah.
And you kind of gave me like because I had said I'm not anywhere near knowledge in the field of art. I have my own art. I do this kind of art,
Right.
but the ones that you put up on a wall and have pretty colors,
Yeah.
I'm lucky to stay within the lines on the menu at Arby's.
Okay. Okay.
But Kristy,
Yeah.
tell me what you do here in Central Florida.
Well, I'm an artist, as you know. I work at Mills Gallery. I try to give back. I try to educate artists. But mainly my main purpose, my main thing is I want other people to understand art. I want them to appreciate it. I want to teach artists, other artists, anything I can share. I think that's probably the biggest thing for me is education, giving back, helping with charities, anything that helps other people. I love it.
And
Which-
what was like the spark that got you to go down this route of art itself?
Okay, well, we got to go way back, way back. Okay. All right. Don't laugh. To when I was a child, and I used to just, scribble like
Scribble.
most kids
Yeah.
do. And for some reason, I thought I was talented. And so, unfortunately, I came from a very poor family, so I didn't get opportunities like other kids did. But I remember there used to be in the newspaper, or my parents were both smokers, so it was on the matchbook. Used to be able to draw the pirate or the bunny or whatever, and it said, if you can draw this bunny, you can go to art school. And I was a child, but I drew that bunny and that pirate, and I gave it to my mother, and I said, I'm going to go to art school. Well, that was probably the last thing I ever heard from my parents about art. They were not the supportive people that they were. But I grew up, and because I didn't have a lot of money and I did not go to college, so I tried to make the art any way I can, and I was a hairdresser. I was a great hairdresser.
She worked with Paul Mitchell, the Paul Mitchell.
That's correct.
Are you serious?
In New York City.
Cutting
Yep.
hair.
Yep. I did platform work. I did magazine work. I took my hairdressing to the top of where I can go with
Wow.
it. So that was my art
In
at
New
the
York.
time
New York.
in New York City. Yeah. For over 30 years. We won't go too much into that part. But yeah.
She
And-
started at 12.
Yes. I'm really only 14. No. So with that said, yeah. So, and then I got married, I had children, and I had a child that needed my help. So I didn't get the chance to take classes and do what other people do when they want to support their passion.
Mhm.
But I would say that was probably a week after my son left for college. I signed up for that first art class.
Are you serious?
Yes. So it's about a little over 10 years now that I have been working in art, but it was only about 3-4 years ago, almost, that a friend of mine, an artist here in Orlando, Boris Garbe, who was sort of a mentor for me, came to my house one day and he said to me, you have all this wonderful art and you're not putting it out? I'm like, you mean I wanted to go out of my house? People are going to look at it? You think anybody will even like it? I had no idea that it was, of any kind of quality because I never showed it to anybody.
Yeah.
But that first chance, that first opportunity I got from him was to have my art in a nice event at the Manello Museum.
Mhm.
It was their anniversary. They had asked for artists to donate art. So I did, and it sold the first night. And I think that
The first night.
first art piece sold that night. first night. Yes.
That's
awesome.
crazy.
Yeah. So for me, it was like, okay, maybe I should do this.
Yeah.
And you know what's interesting? And so when you talk to an artist, they'll tell you, I've been doing this all my life. I've been selling. She's only been doing this for 3.5 years. She's been painting for a long, but she's been out publicly for 3.5 years.
No.
Mm.
And that is unbelievable. I mean, considering where you are, I think you're in 3 galleries in Orlando right now. She's the resident artist at Mills Gallery. She's the educational specialist where you teach seminars for young artists. This is a story you should tell, but the stories we have experienced of artists that are trying to come to Mills Gallery and say, you should have me as an artist. Meanwhile, they smell like pot. They're wearing a T-shirt that says F you. And
My shirt did not say F you,
No,
Boris.
it did say F you, Boris. That's what it said.
F you, Boris.
Boris. So we were talking, and I was like, "Can you believe?" Because you didn't believe me. And then somebody came. I told her, "Listen, sometimes the artists, they want me to look at their art on a phone."
On a phone.
And it happened in
Wait,
front of
they
her.
don't even have their own phone.
Yeah.
They'll
wanna
ask
use
Boris,
my
can I
phone."
borrow your phone to show my art on your phone? And then when they do, we have to sometimes look through other pictures. If they do have their own phone, that's my dog. Oh, sorry, that's, you don't want to see that one. Okay, well, here's one. What do you think? That kind of thing.
Now I want to do a transitional thing right here when it comes with you two, because you had said in regards to like that you wanted to pursue art and your parents, like that was the last time you brought it up.
Yeah.
And I know that's a different time, a different generation,
Yeah.
because I'm gonna say, because I kind of went around the same route as a child when I started doing something like, mommy, I want to do this when I grow up. And her response was like, no, you're either going to be a doctor or a lawyer.
Uh-uh.
Like, you're going to do this. You're going to do this. I'm like,
She wasn't wrong.
I want it. And that was because, it's also a different time, a
Right.
different upbringing and lifestyles that parents had for their kids at that time. And I want to ask you, Shay, like, growing up, you've been able to express yourself in many forms of art.
Mhm.
Like, how was the support system for you in this day and age?
So I grew up with older parents. So my parents were very much like, come in when the street lights come on, drink from the spigot if it's too hot outside. Like, we didn't really have too much room for
Hear,
any kind of BS. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So as far as my passions, they were always really supportive of what I wanted to do, but it was like the first thing that I wanted to do. So the first thing that I showed actual like super dedication in was performing and being a singer, being a dancer. My mom used to be a singer, so she kind of favored that on me, and that's where I kind of got sick of it, and I didn't really see it too much as support any longer. So I went over to the dance world. I went over to playing football and flag football, and it kind of like stopped there. Like, I don't want to go to your games. I don't want to go to your recitals. I don't want to do all that stuff. And I found so much power in that, though, because I realized that if they weren't going to support me doing it, that I was going to have to support myself doing it. I was going to have to pay for my uniforms. I was going to have to do all the things that I needed to do. So they supported me when it came to my singing, and I continued to do that throughout the years, but it was very much pop up on this, but don't pop up over here, and like on these kinds of things. But they really gave me a drive. Like, if you're going to sing, then you need to rehearse, and you need to do all of this, and you need to make sure you're breathing the right way. And so they just made sure that what I was doing, I knew that there are other steps that you have to take in order to be the best at it. And I kind of just learned how to drive myself in that way as well.
And with you making the decision, once everything was out of the way, you it's a lot easier for an adult who's already accomplished and, has things in order to like, you know what, I want to do this now.
Yeah.
And was that like a smooth transition?
No.
Not a
I'm
week
going to be
after
really
college.
honest
It's
with
a good question, but the answer is even better.
No, and I'm going to tell you why. And I talk to a lot of women my age, once we've had our career successful, whatever your career was, this is a whole new beginning again. So it's almost like being a child again it's scary. So I remember that I wanted to take that first class desperately after my son left, but I was so afraid to walk into an art school that somebody was going to judge me, because when you're young and you're constantly being picked on or judged, or so many things come in through your life, that now it's like stepping back again into that role again of, insecurity.
Yeah.
I'm not good enough. All that's going to happen. So I talked a good friend into taking this art class with me who had nothing to do with art, could not even care. And the first thing we had to paint was a pear. So I painted
A
the
pear
pear,
of what?
the fruit,
I know.
a fruit pear. So we had to paint this.
I didn't even catch that. I'm like 15 seconds behind, I guess. I'm lagging.
Cheers.
Yeah. We had to paint this pear, and she hated every minute of it. When she went home, she showed it to her family, and they said, "Oh, you painted a light bulb." She said, "I'm not going back.
Oh my goodness.
I'm not going back." But the good thing for me is I was in the door. Like I needed that buddy to walk in the door with me. So it's not always so easy to make a new transition. Of course, once you get there, you start to find your way. But at the beginning, it was pretty rough, pretty scary.
And I can also see where it would kind of be challenging, being more mature, you know what I mean, in life stages.
Who's mature?
Where not me. Being older in your life stage, I definitely can see where it would be extremely challenging because I'm young. I can go and I can take that first class and know like, oh, I'm young. I've never done this before.
Right.
And I have no idea what I'm doing. And people in the place will look at me and think the same thing. Okay, she's young. She doesn't probably
They don't
know.
expect you to know.
But then if you come in to take your first, like your art class 101 and they're like, are you sure you're enrolled in the right thing? And it's like, we can start different things at different life stages. I think we're never old enough to tell ourselves we can't do something, period.
Right.
And that's kind of, we were talking about this earlier. That's what I love about your generation. There's a lot of things going wrong, but the one thing I love about your generation is that you guys, I would be safe among your generation because as an openly gay man, I got my ass beat pretty much daily. But I love the fact that you guys are open to gays and lesbians, transgenders, all races. Those are not the issues young people have today at all.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's why I have a lot of hope for you guys.
Yeah, we're worried about money. We're worried about not being good enough for society. But when it comes to being open and really trying to include everyone so nobody feels alone, like we know what that's like because we have these other struggles. We just find a way to relate them in a way that we can be helpful. Because it's like, I can't give you $20. I don't have it, but I can give you advice on what you're going through and I can provide you a shoulder. I think my generation is very much on the social side.
Yeah.
We want to connect with each other rather than like, that's why we have such big social media platforms.
Right.
So many of us, like 400, 1K, 15K, like it's so easy to gain followers now because you open yourself up, you show your support and people flock to that. And I feel like that's the future.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Chris, whom we'll talk about later, he's a podcaster, and he said once in one of his interviews, he was talking about his generation, that your generation, you guys can smell within a minute if somebody's wearing a mask, if they have an agenda, if they want something from you, right? And he said, I can tell within a minute that they're playing with me. Right? You guys can smell that right through. And so what do you expect from our generation? What is it that you expect from us? To be honest, to not be embarrassed, and to treat you with kindness and respect.
Correct. Yeah. We're asking for the things that are basic human decencies that we've been fighting for certain races or for certain cultures or for certain art forms, for certain genders. We've been fighting for all those things, but it's kind of like the minute that you actually say, hey, can you treat me this way instead of, hey, can we treat everyone this way?
Right.
The minute that we specify that we need something, it becomes a little bit more harsh. It becomes a little bit more tense, but we got it.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, from like, in between the generations right here, it's been fun because growing up in an era where, society and people, specific people, specific groups of people treated others a separate way, lack of respect, no equality, and kind of like absorbing that in a sense, recognizing it and acknowledging it in a sense, I'm saying, and then my complete change of leaving Chicago, which was a melting pot of culture. I went to school in Boys Town, which is the gay district of Chicago.
Right.
And I walked down streets that had the pride flag. And to me, a man kissing another man, that there was no wrong in it. There was nothing weird or strange about that. That's love.
Right.
I came down here to Florida in late 98 or 99, and it was a completely different vibe. And now, we're entering the new millennia, and there was still that judgment. There was still that sect of people that like, no, you can't do this, shouldn't do that. It's immoral. It's this and that. And as the decades have gone, and I'm now 35 years old in 2021, it's so I don't want to say it's weird, but it's refreshing to see the change that society is slowly doing. Because yes, there are still those people out there
Right.
that do pass judgment, that do want to cause harm to others. But then there is so much strength coming from your generation itself. Like, you guys are getting more and more powerful each and every day.
Mhm.
And
Right,
I mean, not only that, but like the idea of equality for all is no
Acceptance.
longer being thought of as an idea.
Yeah.
It's becoming more and more of
A reality.
Reality.
Yeah.
each and every
Exactly.
day.
Absolutely.
And it's been exciting watching,
Refreshing. Yeah. Yeah.
watching this change.
Yeah.
I think my generation is definitely bringing up, hey, it's okay to do this. It's okay to not have the 9 to 5. It's okay to, want to make skateboarding your career. But if you're going to make skateboarding your career, you got to make sure you're learning tricks. You got to make sure you can afford a new board when you break it. You got to make
Right.
sure that you're able to dedicate yourself to everything and find a way that you're going to profit from it, find a way that you're going to be happy from it. Like, I feel like we are bringing so much more acceptance to lots of categories in the sense of your daily life and how you're supposed to live in the eyes of everyone else, how you're supposed to be conservative or whatever. Like, we're more accepting with clothing styles. We're more accepting with
Right.
if you're going to wear a green hat with a purple pair of shoes and a yellow belt. Like, oh, cool.
That's art.
I'm not going to wear it, but you do your thing. You look good. Have a nice day. And I feel like my generation is just very much like, it is what it is, and let's keep moving. As long as you're happy, let's keep going.
Your generation has no time for nonsense, which I think our generation, we had a lot of time for nonsense.
Right.
Yours is like, hell no, get out of the way, please.
Because we have parents that were very much so like in that place where you did have time to mess around. So you guys, your generation's so able to tell us like, hey, don't waste your time on this. Now, in my generation who listens, that's a different story. But I feel like for the most part, because we are such an accepting, group of chitlins, we're willing to listen, and we're willing to listen, and we're willing to say, okay, maybe I don't need McDonald's every other day, Mom. You might be right. And then at the end of the month, when I can pay my bills, I'm like, oh, hey, I didn't need it. She was right.
So with being in the art field, a playing field where expression is everything, you've been able to make a livelihood from it, correct?
I haven't done bad.
You've been doing good.
Can I say something? She just sold a painting for $7,000.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
No,
Wow.
Yeah, seriously.
That's amazing. I mean, I get excited when I tell people, hey, I won $500 from building a costume I did a few years ago. But no, right there, that's what I'm saying. Like, you're able to now tap into this generation. This generation is finding what you're putting out there appealing.
Well, and here's the thing about Mills. We are lucky at Mills to have her, but she's lucky also to be at Mills because this is like education for her. And the one thing that I'm fighting constantly is, how do I bring young men and young women into the gallery? How do I bring young Black men and young Black women into the gallery? How do I bring the gays, the lesbians, the transgenders? Because galleries have become... Today I got a call and they were like, oh, what day is your museum open? I'm like, it's a gallery. And she said, what's the difference? And the fact, and let me explain you what the difference is. It's very simple. A museum is a place you have to pay to get in and you can't buy anything.
You can't buy it.
A gallery is you come in free and we're hoping you're buying everything.
That's true.
So
That's
it starts with that your generation probably has no idea what a gallery is supposed to do, how it's supposed to help.
Mm.
And I want to touch base on what you're saying right there in regards to gallery, and I want to come back to that.
Yeah.
But please finish. Please finish, Boris. I'm sorry.
I totally forgot what I was saying. See, this is what happens. I can only speak for myself.
So from picking up a paintbrush at your
Yes.
first art class
Yes.
to now 3 years later,
Almost 4, yeah.
almost 4, you have a .com that
do.
has a huge impact here in Orlando. Like tell us like how it got to that point.
Hard work.
Dedication.
I paint every single day, sometimes in the middle of the night, because sometimes I don't sleep that great.
Mm.
And I've been in my studio
Most geniuses don't.
all night
Oh.
long sometimes, or I'll get up at 3 a.m. with something on my mind and I have to go.
Yeah.
I have to go there. And I'm totally not tired the rest of the day. It's actually like my drug, if I could say that. Because
Yeah.
you know, I live it, I breathe it, I work it. I do constantly consider my brand. You know, I want to give back, I want to help. So I try to make time for all those things in my life. So if I'm in the studio all night long, or maybe at 6 a.m. till like 1 p.m. or whatever, then I'll try to take time to build my brand, see what I can do to give back, help the gallery, whatever else I can do to be productive in the art community.
Hmm.
That's passionate for me.
For her,
Helping.
she has climbed so fast and so quick because her talent, of course, but it's also her personality. And one of the first things I liked about her is that,
I know the sun is getting in your face. You can move the mic a
no,
little
that's
this
fine.
way.
No, that's fine. One of the first things I asked her is, do you want to be famous? Because I keep asking that. And usually I get, oh no, I just want to do it for the art. But when I asked you, do you want to be famous?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I knew, okay, this one. And then I said, do you enjoy helping people? And she goes, Boris. And then she went into her whole story of that's just how she is. So now she has an opportunity at Mills to give seminars, which is
Really?
I give
amazing.
seminars on how to approach a gallery
Yeah.
for
Okay.
other artists.
Mhm.
Because when I was taking some classes, trying to decide what I was going to do in my future, and this friend that approached me said, oh, you have an art future, you should take advantage of that. Then I'm like, okay, how do I do that? So I went to one of the art schools. Actually, I went to more than one. And I said, do you give classes on how to take the art to the next level? And nobody did. So one person said to me, just go to the internet. You're going to find everything you need to know. And the problem with that is there is so much
So much.
there.
You don't know what's
So how do you
reliable.
condense that for an artist, who really doesn't even know one step in front of the other at this point? So I started building that information for myself on how I feel it would work for me.
Yeah.
And then I showed it to Boris, and I actually came in and did exactly what I thought I would need for that. And he was so taken by it. He said, you have got to.
No,
Good classes on
that's
that.
actually what that's actually what I do with my small business with the Chaos Network in regards to production of podcasts. A few beginning of the year, myself and the crew from a project that I was doing called the Orlando Sideshow, we got together and we're like, we have a collective of great talent and wonderful people. Like, let's build a network from here.
Yeah.
And the idea of the Chaos Network was to help content creators or individuals who had that idea that didn't know how to put it out into the airwaves
There.
to like, okay, and just like you said, you can Google it. You can totally Google how to do a podcast. I mean, you can totally do Google how to record, distribute, and get it out there. But the internet won't tell you how to podcast.
Yeah.
Because that's something that you're going to, create. You're going to find yourself on your own. Believe me, it took me 2 years to understand Patricio, aka Rocky. It took me 2.5 years to tune him out, tune him to the point where I know what I'm
You
doing
might
now.
not know who that is, by the way.
Exactly. Yeah. So, Rocky is the persona
That he plays.
that is behind the mic.
Oh, okay.
So, like, if you look on the let me do this real quick and let me take that off. If you look on the screen right here, Patricio, aka Rocky.
Okay. Yeah, I see it.
Shay's known me for a couple of years now, and hold on, I just exit out of here. Let me put it back to the way it once was. When we first met, how did you know me as?
Rocky.
Yeah. When I walk into this office, I'm Patricio Solano. It's a different persona because
Right.
of the fact that behind these walls, I have to project a level of professionalism, because I'm talking to clients, I'm talking to attorneys,
Okay.
presenting the
Oh,
judge.
your business. This is your
Exactly.
business. Okay.
And Rocky is how would you describe Rocky?
Rocky, I don't know. Rocky's very personable. Rocky's very not loud, but outspoken. Rocky's extremely helpful. Rocky is a very comfortable place for Patricio to be because you get a break. You get a break and you don't have to be that serious kind of person.
Right,
He's
right.
extremely goofy. He's extremely open and talks to a lot of people and is very, very helpful. And I can see the different sides of him. Whereas when he's, not focused on Rocky, he's being Patricio.
Yeah.
And he's very put together. He's very professional. He's very still driven in the same ways, but about different things.
Got
And like behind the scenes of the podcast, and when it regards to Chaos Network, I've built a small business now where if you have that idea for the show, all right, let's sit down, let's piece it together, let's find out what it is you want to put out there. Okay, great, we've recorded that. Let's see how we're going to edit that so it's perfection. All right, cool. You've edited it now. It
Right.
sounds great. How do we distribute it? How do we get it out there? And then if you're ready, okay, now we can start doing live streams, because recording a podcast live is the worst idea ever.
Yeah.
Because there's no editing. There's no, going back. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. We got to cut that out. No, it's already live. It's already out there. And
But you do cut it out in the actual podcast.
Yes. So like once the finished product, like right now, this is pure
Raw, uncut.
Gotcha.
And there have been times, Boris, you've seen the show where I've gone off the handle. I've said some things that are provocative, are controversial, and I try.
But this is your stage, and I think that's expected of you. It's expected. I told you the last time. It's only when you're doing the same stuff over and over. Be angry and unpleasant. But if you're angry and unpleasant, funny and charming, kind of loving, and that's what you do. You're constantly being different sides of you are coming out.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just a type of Howard Stern, the same thing over. It's not,
No, and yeah, no, it's incredible that you're doing that with local artists, because there are some people who don't know like that. I didn't know the difference between a gallery and
a museum.
a museum.
I didn't know either until I ran one. Then I was like, oh, there you go.
And this is why, like, I enjoy talking with people like you, because there are fields that I have no idea.
Yeah.
That I have zero clue about.
But even in the industry, there are things that I'm constantly learning every day about my own industry, So, and there are ways and places that I want to go behind the scenes, pull back the curtain and let's see what else I can find out and what I can share.
So we had this conversation about that. And she said, I have an idea for a podcast.
What?
About that exact thing.
I feel like she just had that moment, like, Boris, what are you doing?
No, about that exact thing, because how interesting would that be to find out the things that nobody else shares? You know what I mean? Like in the museum, we don't know how to approach a museum. Like I was talking about how to approach a gallery. I have no idea how to approach a museum. And who picks the stuff that goes into the museum? And when they do, where does it come from? And I mean, there's so many things. That's just one example that I would love to learn. And if I want to learn it, there must be other people who want to know it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I think there's so much, and it's not only about painters, I mean, there's so much in different arts here in Orlando and everywhere that most people don't have any idea. Like you said, the simple thing, like, I don't know a difference between a museum and a gallery. That's not so, odd.
Mhm.
A lot of people don't.
Yeah.
Most people don't,
Most people don't.
just like most people don't know how to approach a gallery. I mean, it sounds like such a simple thing to an artist who does it, but if you don't, it's like so foreign. And if you ask most artists now, they would probably say, I wish I knew.
And what I like about this idea, although you haven't cemented it, I said, so you're going to be talking to artists. She goes, God, no. I'm going to be talking to the people that make the artist successful, that decide, there are people, they're called tastemakers. They decide literally this hot artist we're going to sponsor and we're going to give him the ad and stuff like that. And so there's a group of people, literally, just like with music, they decide these songs are going to be hits, these artists are so, and it's very random.
I mean, I'm sure you have all, sorry to interrupt you.
No.
You have all gone to a museum, just using museums as an example here, but this is the same thing for all arts and whatever. And you say, how did that get on the wall? I remember my first experience at going to in New York to the Modern Museum. I don't know if you've been there, but when you first walk into the Modern Museum, there's a big circle, a giant circle up there. And I was looking at them like, I can do that. I think I can make that circle. How come I'm not in the Modern Museum? You know what I mean? So who makes that decision and what is it based on? Like, is there really any particular thing that makes it so
Like, what's
odd?
the algorithm to art itself?
Exactly.
And you know, and I think it's going to be interesting. Yes, that line is like getting in my face, but because for example,
Yeah, scoot it down.
you would think that only artists and the artist and the friends of their artists are interesting. But look at mine example. You know, I think I'm a gallerist that has a lot to say. You know, so you'll be talking. And the thing is, many people are waiting for a chance to be asked one question: how they are helping others. And I think that
That's
is something that I've always tried to bring out in my interviews is, how are you helping? How are you helping? Isn't it fulfilling? I did not experience success until 3 years into the gallery when I built a team, and I learned that I can only move if I'm bringing people with me. Everybody at Mills Gallery, whether it's
100%,
Melissa
100%
and
accurate.
Chris and Jennifer and Marvin, who you're going to talk to, and her, we're all becoming stars. And we all want it. We all want the fame, the star. But the number one reason I want it is because if I have a strong platform, then I can help you. Then you can come to me and say, Mr. Garbe, I need help. And I can say, absolutely no problem. Let's do this, which is what you have done with me always. You are my go-to guy when I have an issue.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's like not only is it a friendship, but it's also like it's business with us as well. We've been able to mix the friendship and the business because it's mutually beneficial for both our parties. So whether it's attending one of your events, or you coming on the show, or interviewing a guest that you recommend, I've never ever had a bad experience or an unpleasant situation with you, Boris. Like, I remember when my girlfriend and I went to Maxine's.
Mm-hmm.
We had a great meal. We had an incredible conversation that evening led into an even crazier adventure. And I thank you for that. Nothing like that. I'm just saying, like, it was a fun adventure for my girlfriend and myself, because we had gone to the Super Bowl and then we'd gone to Ybor City, literally because of the conversation
With Maxine.
that we had had with Maxine and Boris.
We love Maxine's on Shine.
Yes.
It's the best restaurant in Orlando. Okay, that's my only selling point.
He's good. He's out.
Yeah.
Have you been there? Have you been to Maxine's?
No, I've never been.
Okay, we're going.
Okay, varied. I'm always down. I'm always down
There
For good food.
for food.
Always good for
Yes.
food.
live music.
That.
Yeah.
And it's safe because they have an outdoor area.
Oh, I love
And
being in the sun.
It's really cash.
Yeah.
It's really
Oh, yes.
relaxing,
Oh, my God, so
cash.
And then there's Maxine, who is a living, walking, breathing cartoon billboard advertisement for her restaurant. And she's proud of it. And she'll sit with you and she'll talk to you. It's just, it's both a homey feeling, but it's also New York City because it's crazy. It's filled with art. And the food is delicious. Drinks, even though I'm in recovery, I don't drink, but I hear the delicious drinks that they serve are really kick-ass.
I will attest that the drinks are amazing. But going back to you, Kristy, I'm so sorry we keep diverting and plugging and everything. But
great.
it's just
That's
that's
great.
the chaos that is the show.
Yeah.
Now with you helping out local artists, like you said, the introduction of going into a gallery, like what are like the future endeavors in regards to what you're doing? Because you're building a brand for yourself. You're building.
I am.
Your
That is number one for me. I mean, besides giving back and helping other people, get where they want to go, it's important for me to stay on track to build what I would like to have in my future, which is, I want my art to be out. I want my art to be appreciated, out of my house. God, do I have way too much art in my house? But besides that, like I love art. I love everything about art. I love not just my own art. I travel. I'm fortunate enough, my husband and I, that we have traveled around many, many places in the world, and we've gotten to see some of the best art in some of the most
Now,
spectacular
now I'm trying to go
museums.
back to like when we actually had our first conversation
Yeah.
at Maxine's. Your art is actually at Maxine's. Is that correct?
No.
No. Okay, never mind.
That was another one.
That was another one. Sorry.
Yeah,
sorry.
I
So,
typically don't put art in restaurants. It's just never been my thing,
Yeah.
you know. But
It's
I love Maxine's. I
Yeah.
mean, she's got some wonderful artists there too.
Yeah.
I don't know. 100%.
It's just, yeah. But
No, to each their own. To each
Yeah,
their own.
I
Yeah.
was laughing because, here you are talking about how much you love art. You work with somebody, I could care less. I run a gallery.
oh, and I yell at him about this all the time.
What I care about is the artist.
He does.
This
This
right here.
Yeah.
Plenty of people care about art. Excuse my language. Not many people give a shit about the artist, And you know what's interesting? The people who give me the most hell about this
Or
it's
the artist.
Or the artist.
because they're like, listen, all you need to do is sell my paintings so I can pay my rent. I don't give a crap about all this advocacy of trying to help me. And I'm like, but I'm trying to help you. And they don't get it.
get that part.
They don't get
Yeah.
that part. It's crazy.
Yeah.
They
No.
go together. You
Yeah.
can't take and not give back. You
Right.
just can't with anything.
You can't enjoy your gains if you haven't helped somebody.
And I've really been fortunate, I think, in my career because I do want to constantly keep giving back. And I think that it opens other doors. People respect that. And it means so much to me because I get a lot of pleasure. I help Franklin Friends, Kids Fighting Cancer, SOS, Support Our Scholars. I've been able to help and give back
Because of her platform.
because of my platform, because of my art. I don't know that I would have had. Yes, I could always give money. You can always give money. They'll take it, But it's
Yeah, but
wonderful.
if you give a man a fish, teach a man a fish, kind of thing.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah,
And how
exactly.
much of that money goes to salary? See, yes, I have to be careful because I'm involved with so many charities and stuff. But I've always wondered, like, if somebody could either give me money or get me products that the kids need, then
Yeah.
just get the product.
Oh yeah, no. We had a school drive about last month. Yeah, because school started this month, and I reached out to a lot of small businesses, large businesses here throughout Central Florida, and I'd ask, hey, whether you collect school supplies or make a donation, let's do something. And it was funny to see how a lot of these companies who I know were doing good, they have some revenue, couldn't even respond to the email or acknowledge it. But then there were some that like, hey, it's not in our time right now, but we'll be more than happy to accept donations and bring them to you. And then there were the companies that are like, here, no, just here, get what you need and just do what you got to do. And luckily, we were able to raise over $1,800
Great.
for not only a gift for teaching, but we were able to donate to individual teachers throughout Central Florida. That I remember, I had an email that said verbatim,
Okay.
all I need is 100 pencils.
Mm.
And it broke my heart because we gave her over 300 pencils. We gave her notebooks. We gave her all the utensils that she needed for all her kids. And it was rewarding because of the fact that from the hard work that we all did here at the Law Office of Aaron Morse, and of course, WJR and all the other additional partners, we knew our efforts did something.
Yeah.
Because we could have just thrown money to them. But like you
Right.
said, you don't know where that money actually goes.
But also, that people are grateful for what you're doing as well, because this teacher was literally just like, all I need is this, rather than, knowing that you're doing a drive, knowing that you've got the supplies that they could stock up if they really needed to, and then they could save their check for, the next week
Right,
or whatever. They were grateful enough and understanding enough to say, okay, this is all I need. I don't know how many other teachers you have. I don't know what everybody else needs. It's motions like that I think are definitely driving us in a positive direction too, is being appreciative of those things. So it's like, the people that will respond, the people that won't respond, the ones that'll just push money, the ones that'll actually donate. But it also comes down to how hard you're working and them showing the appreciation towards that hard work by not taking advantage of what you're
That's
doing.
right. But I think that so many people would hear that story, I need 100 pencils, and would immediately give you 100 pencils.
Mhm.
Like, I think that people truly are good.
They
People want
help.
to help.
Yeah.
If you give them a substance, and not a giant one, like she wasn't asking for $1 million or even
Mhm.
$1,000.
I need $1
100
million.
pencils. 100 pencils. I mean, you could buy at the $5 store, I think, maybe even at the dollar store, a
Mhm.
pack of pencils. How easy would that be to give?
Mhm.
Like, I think that every time I give something or I give back for something that I feel like I've gotten, I get such a good feeling about that. And I think we as humans, we were meant to do that.
We were meant to help each other.
We're meant to take
love
care of each other.
To
Exactly.
take care of each other. But we can't, because I'm old and you're black and you're a man. And we've been separated.
Well,
We're all
nowadays
brothers and sisters.
we have machines. We have machines to do everything for us. We have devices that will calculate numbers for us. I don't need to ask you what it is and communicate with you anymore. So
Yeah.
we used to be so, village and family oriented, even down to
Not
the
anymore.
Vikings, bro.
Right, that's right.
You had to rely on the sister that's not your sister, but it's also your sister. So you're gonna, trust them with your life. Like,
Take a village.
it's
Right.
not like that anymore.
Not
if
at all.
if you have it to give and you're willing to give, you will. But if you have it to give, nowadays people are way too selfish, and that's where I was talking about earlier. There's room at the top. Like, you don't have to be at the very top. Like, everyone needs to at least eat.
Yeah.
Everyone needs at least a shirt on their back. Like, you know what I mean?
The thought that there are
Those are
artists
beautiful
living.
words, by the way.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
It is. And the thought that there are artists, not just artists, but artists in general, that are living in their cars because they have no homes
Yeah.
in these times, or they have no food and they're looking for a meal, hurts me.
Yeah.
It hurts me terribly.
And you
And
know
so-
what's the government? So the government has created a term called vehicular residency, because there's so many people living in their vehicles now. And one of the things that's really heartbreaking to me is the police will let you live in a car, but they won't let you have a pet in the car.
Mm.
So
Oh,
That's
there's all
animal
that,
cruelty.
So like
Yeah.
it's devastating on so many levels. And one of the things, listen, the people in my life like you give back, you help. Those are the only people I surround myself with. All that I hear when Kristy talks is, how can I help? That is not your typical artist. Your typical artist is, this is my work. How can you help my brand? Blah, blah, blah. That's not what I'm hearing here.
What can you do for me?
Because
What
this
can
is
you
a
do for
real, wonderful, beautiful person who loves other people. I know.
I do, but I grew up poor. I mean, really poor.
humble beginnings.
Humble.
And
My
like a
dad
lot of
was,
people, right?
my mom had 5 kids in 6 years. My dad was an alcoholic. We didn't have a good life because of that. Then my parents took in 2 adults to live with us. Like, we didn't have enough to deal with in our own home. So we were sharing the little bit that we had with these 2 strangers, basically. So, I mean, I know what it's like not to have. So I've been fortunate, my husband and I, and you're going to hear the word unapologetic from me a lot. And he knows that, because I am unapologetic now, because I know what it is not to have. And I know what it is to work really hard to get the things that you have. My husband and I both come from nothing, and we, thank God, been successful, but not because we didn't have hard work. Told you about the hair business. I stood on my feet every day in high heels in New York. It was high heels,
Hey.
high heels every day, high heels for hours on end. I mean, by the time I'd leave there at night, my feet would be throbbing. I'd get in the car and, and my husband also in his business, he rose to the top only because we busted our butts.
And he
you
was
know,
also a helper. I know your husband.
my
He's a
husband
good
is,
guy.
he's a good guy. He's a big helper. But
Yeah.
again, the 2 of us want to keep giving back.
Yeah.
We want people to know that we appreciate, but at the same time, I'm going to be unapologetic about where I am and what I do, because
She wants success, and she's a great artist.
and I work for it.
Yeah.
I just, I feel like I deserve not because I'm better than anybody else, not that at all, but because I'm putting in the work.
Yeah.
You know, I'm putting in the work. And
No, I totally get what you're saying right there, because of the fact that, like you just said, you're unapologetic, and I think the people that have that drive, forgive me for saying it like this, there is no time for
be
to be sorry,
right.
because
Or the bullshit that goes with everybody's opinion,
yeah,
you know?
yeah,
That part.
and I'm sorry for saying it like this, like when you stop giving a fuck, things are a lot easier to move forward with.
Right.
Mhm.
That's
When-
hard, though. That's hard.
It really is.
Yeah.
But if you want it, if
I
you
don't
want
find
it,
it so hard.
but exactly. But if you want it bad enough, you have that strength and the mentality
Yeah.
Mhm.
to stop giving an F about what people are saying, what people
Right.
think. I've had so many conversations before in the past where like, oh, well, Patricio, you really shouldn't talk about that on your show. How is that going to affect,
Was that with me?
how is that going to affect your image or
That
the way
was me.
people see you?
Yeah.
I'm like, if they don't accept that side of me, then they're
Mhm.
not a real fan.
Yeah.
If they can't understand that these are different spectrums, different views, different opinions,
Different sides. of
different
you.
sides
Right.
of me, then they can't accept me. Here's the thing: if you open up my phone and go to my playlist on Spotify, you're gonna find Alan Jackson, you're gonna find 50 Cent, you're gonna find Eminem, you're gonna find James Taylor.
You're gonna find Anwar Superstar. Hey, Anwar.
I do have on my playlist, but the reason is that if you're going to appreciate music, you can't embrace just one genre.
Exactly.
You have to embrace all its aspects to have a better love and understanding of music itself. Because if you just focus on, let's say, for example, you just focus only on rock music, that's all you listen to. That's anything that you're just going to have mixed views and not have an open opinion to other art that's out there.
Your
That's right.
creativity is going to run out.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Another
That's right.
reason I work with this one is because she's not just a painter. She loves everything art. So she does
Sculpture.
sculptures, she
Mhm.
does collages, she does
Anything creative, anything.
Well,
you can
I
hands
also
on.
love to take trash to treasure. I say that like that because
Yeah.
I love when I find something that somebody was going to throw away and I could take it and make a sculpture out of
oh
it.
geez.
or-
So at the gallery they threw out a mirror and she comes back into the gallery and says, I need your help. I'm putting a broken mirror in my car.
shattered mirror.
Why?
But I saw some beauty in it.
Yeah.
And you know what? I took it home. This is the craziest story. I broke it apart a little bit in my car, but it was basically stuck together because they have some kind of a plastic
Adhesive
coating on them so they don't shatter onto the floor, I guess.
Okay.
So even though it was completely shattered, I pulled it apart so I can get it in my car. And when I got home, I put it on my outside table in my backyard, and it took the shape of an angel, missing one wing, but a shape of an angel. And I just stood there like I was mesmerized. And I called my husband. I said, do you see what I see? It was the shape of an angel, just the way it had broken. So I felt like I had to take that mirror. Like there was a reason that I took that mirror home. And just telling you about it now, I still have those goosebumps that
No,
I had.
I felt what you said right there,
Yeah.
because you'd said that it was just an angel, but without it missing a wing.
It was missing a wing. Yeah.
It's still an angel.
It's still an angel, very much an angel. And so I am making an art piece out of that. I'm putting it on this graffiti background, but to try to bring it, because I think if I just put it out as an angel in a shape, people look at it more as a religious piece. And I want people of all ages, to appreciate it. So I'm putting it on sort of a graffiti background.
Street art.
Yeah, like a street art piece.
No,
And-
I'm literally picturing it in my head, and like
We're gonna show you
you
the
can see me. You
Yeah.
can see my feeling for it. And I
Yeah,
would love to see. I would love to see that. When we can.
yeah,
Because when I listen to people tell me their stories or tell me their idea for a project, or like I said, for a podcast, if it's real, like in honor of the late in honor of the late Chris Fio, if it's real, it's real. But if it's fake, I'm like, all right, you know what? I don't feel it.
and I have this will be the first time I've talked publicly about Chris's passing, but
Move the mic a little bit more towards there.
Yeah.
There, perfect.
this will be the first time I talk publicly about Chris's passing. taking your show to do that. Chris had a controversial career in the Orlando podcasting system because, first of all, first year out, he gets nominated.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen. Second year, he gets nominated again, and he passes. So this, you and I and Anna Eskamani and, well, I guess it's going to be you too if you're going to have a podcast. We're all going to come together and see if we can make the street laws about e-bikes and just driving bikes in Florida, in Orlando, in general, we can make them better. But Chris's story is not over yet. Somebody said they want to make a mini documentary about him. Somebody wants to write about him. I'm not going to let this pass because the three of us were all interviewed by Chris. We all experienced his goodness, his kindness. She, for example, she figured out his image, his iconic short hair, because he came to you and he was like, what do I do? So she gave him clothes from her husband. She dressed him. She styled him. I prepared him in other ways. It was a village.
You did a lot for him. You did everything for him. You gave him these opportunities, to a young man who otherwise would not have had these kind of opportunities.
Yeah, and as knowing Chris just on a friendship level, and then slowly progressing into the podcast area, into the field of podcasting, he was a unique soul. Never had anything negative to say about anybody. Always willing to help someone out. And the last conversation I had with him, the day of his death was very it was a great conversation to have with such a beautiful soul that should not have left this earth at the time that he did, because he had so much more to do. He had so many more opportunities. He had so much more to do. He wasn't done, but with the idea that you have, Boris, and with the participation and the help from the Orlando podcast community, along with many others, we're going to finish the work that Chris
absolutely
had laid out and wanted to do. It's not over. For the experience of Chris Field is not over.
Can I ask you a really tough question, Patricio?
Go for it.
I've never asked you because I just felt your pain right now, but you were the last person to see in my life. How does that feel?
Here's the thing. I've had this conversation multiple times.
Both men are crying.
I've had this conversation
okay.
multiple times, and it was Chris on any other day. It was the Chris that you knew and loved. It was the Chris that brought a smile to your face, that was there to help you when you needed a hand, and it was the same energy that lit up the room. And the conversation was amazing. The energy was flawless, and I came to find out the day of the vigil. I mean, not the vigil, the candlelight service that we set up at Sportstown, that I actually wasn't the last person to talk to him, and it blew my mind.
Who was?
It was an individual who they don't want the attention.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't want the attention. But I was just in shock because I was under the impression this is now, you asked me something that you didn't want to, you hadn't asked. Now I'm going to say something that I hadn't said to anybody. The individual came up to me and kind of came at me in an attack mode. Like, you shouldn't be saying that you were the last person to talk with him. I'm like, well, I was, because after I'd left, he was in the accident. And then they started saying, no, I was the last person because I was there when you finished talking with him and he came to talk to me, and then he left. I was like, okay, then let's hear what you have to say.
Who wants to claim that title? I was the last person who saw him.
And
Right.
be
I mean,
angry
that is
about it.
ridiculous.
That's-
Sorry.
That's sorry.
ridiculous.
It caught me off guard because like you just said, like, who the hell wants that claim?
Why is that
Actually,
okay?
I'm
to you?
relieved
Why
for
is
you.
it
I'll be
important?
honest. I'm relieved for you. But how stupid. How stupid.
It was stupid, and it took me days to process that because it was the day of the memorial. It was the day that you saw the photos. We had a great outcome. We had so many people out there, and the person just came at me and was not loving, or like they were just upset about the situation. And like, well, I apologize immediately. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I didn't know.
Hmm.
But at the same time, say something. And like, no, it's not. I don't want to. Okay, then. I'm gonna say that I saw him before,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna stop saying that I was the last person to see him, because everyone that has called me, everyone that has asked me these questions, yeah, I saw him right before, and I've stopped saying I was the last person to see him, because
Well-
who knows if he talked to someone at that corner before he crossed the street. What if he, when he paid his tab, that he talked to the bartender as he left? I can only
And
account.
he probably did because he talked to everybody.
He talks to everybody.
Yeah.
Mm.
So to clear out the airways, I was not the last person that talked to Chris Fia.
Well, in a way, I'm glad for you.
I was too after everything, and basically saying the same story to everybody, but it's the God honest truth. He was a wonderful individual who touched many of us,
We loved him.
and we're all going to do our part to ensure that the memory of Chris Fia lives on, and not only through just that, but like the work that we do, like the passion that we have, whether my passion for podcasting, your passion for art, your passion for not really caring about art.
I'm passionate about that.
Like a little bit of Chris,
Lives in all of us.
Lives in all of us.
That's right.
You dressed him. I helped him put together the podcast. And then the best story is he was about to jump ship for PFT to you. But we all love him. We all get it. He was ambitious. He was like,
And what's wrong with that?
nothing.
Exactly, and
Nothing.
that's where I wanted to go to.
That's right.
That, like, your ambition, your drive.
Yeah.
What is your drive itself that keeps you moving forward?
Keeps me moving forward. Well, every day I wake up, like I said, with the same goals, that I want to be better than I was the day before. That could be with my art. That could be with my helping someone else. That could be with just showing up. My family is very important to me. But with my art journey, I want to just keep pushing forward. I want to keep building my brand. I want to keep doing the best art that I can. I'm only hoping that I can get better and better. And I said to Boris, just when you get to somewhere where somebody thinks, wow, that piece is amazing, you got to follow it up with another one.
Exactly.
Because they expect that from you.
They expect it. So there's that added pressure that people put on you, or you put on yourself, whatever it is.
Once you become a content creator, that's it. You're always going to have that title, because you're constantly going to be creating content. You're constantly going to be bringing out a new side of you, of your creativity, of yourself. And Jay, like, you're constantly changing it up.
hmm I'm constantly trying to find different, because I like to do modeling specifically with lingerie, because I really like to incorporate within my platform confidence in any kind of style, in
That's
any kind
right,
of form, on a
confidence.
day that I'm bloated, on a day that I'm cut. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
I really like those kinds of things. And so I'm always thinking, okay, what's going to be better lighting? What's going to look best on me? What has the most detail? What is going to bring the most confidence to somebody that sees this? How are people going to see that I feel confident in this with just one picture, without me necessarily smiling and
Right.
being super, super happy? Like, how am I going to bring this to the next level at all times? How am I going to make the light better on this? How am I going to make the background better on this? How am
So
I
you're
going to...
always striving to do
For
one more.
perfection.
I'm
Right.
always striving
one
for
more thing that's
perfection.
better than what it was before.
Even just scrolling through on social media and looking at what is doing well for other people and people that are similar to me and that create the similar concepts
That's
to
right.
me and how to learn
Doing
and how
your
to do
homework.
those things. Yes.
Doing your
Yes.
homework.
Finding
I'm constantly
inspiration.
doing that. Looking for.
I feel, and I
Right.
want your opinion on what I'm about to say right now. Perfection doesn't exist.
No.
Perfection doesn't exist because if it did, that
We wouldn't work so damn hard to get it.
Exactly.
But sometimes we get very damn close to perfection.
We do. We do.
And I do believe, and a
Into the mic.
well-known artist that we all know believes that every artist has one masterpiece. Sometimes the masterpiece comes early on, and it's kind of tragic because you can never get it again. It's like you're known for that. You're known for the Mona Lisa and nothing else.
Yeah.
But this particular artist, he's of advanced age, but he says he's creating the best work he's ever created, and that he will just create his masterpiece very soon. He knows it. He knows it. He's in that weird bubble. And how?
But you have to get a certain confidence that comes with. He's painting. He's painting a lifetime, more than our lifetimes. Okay, so he knows his product. And if he feels like his masterpiece is about to come, he's probably right. His masterpiece is probably going to just come. I'd like to think that I don't have to wait till that much of an age to get it. But then again, art is so subjective. We don't know who's going to love what. And I look at some art and I go, how did that get there? Like we talked about before in the museum, like what determines what's a masterpiece? Who decides that?
I think
favorite
no, go ahead. Go
my
ahead.
favorite story about art with Kristy, we had just gotten to know each other. She was very good. This was when I was running Mills by myself. I was running a gallery by myself with no help. And I don't know how we met through Paul Scarborough, and then you started coming to the gallery, and she was smart. She brought cookies, so we got to talk. And one day I asked her, hey, I have a question. How come no artist can answer the following question, which was, what is art? And she was stumped. Turns out many artists don't know how to answer that question.
What is art?
What is art?
I can't answer that. I'm an artist when it comes. I label myself an artist because each and every time I get behind this mic, it's the conversation and the interviews are the canvas. And I'm not the only paint. I'm not the only instrument that's used in this canvas. All four of you are a different layer to it, a different the tool used to it, a different shade that at the very end, the finished product, whether it's, a 30-minute show or a 3-hour show, we create that is our art.
Right.
And what is art is what you put out there into the world, is my opinion.
I think art is very much, it's in the eye of the beholder. I very much view art as anything that you look at that creatively stimulates your brain. Now, you don't have to be creatively stimulated in the sense of wanting to go and do a painting, but anything that really gets your brain thinking of a new and innovative way to do something or to make something, and then you go and you make that happen. Whatever that was art. That inspired you to get creative.
That's good.
That's good, but it's your opinion.
My opinion.
Yeah, my opinion.
Yeah,
And
we can only.
And it's okay
Speak
to have
for
a wrong
ourselves.
one. So
No, there are no wrong opinions.
I
But it
agree.
was funny that she couldn't answer it. Now she can. What is art?
Well, because now I've broken it down to its simplest form. Art is picking up a pencil, a pen, a marker, anything, making a mark on a paper, a canvas, or anything.
Sculpture. Yeah.
Sculpture.
Yeah.
That's it. As simple as that.
It's that simple.
Mhm.
But then we go back to what you said. Not everybody likes simple art. Not
Mhm.
everybody likes super sophisticated art. It's just so ambitious and so broad. But I love her definition because I got that. You understood that, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes, art is, when the angels.
Well, I
speak
did
to
try
me
to
and-
do that at the beginning. I did try to do
So
that.
I
When he
said,
asked me that
"Ladies,
question, I
stop
said,
the
wait a
BS."
second. Let me think of this. And I'm thinking he's a gallerist. Let me be careful how I say this.
Mhm.
So I tried to pick up my best words and put this whole story together. And he goes, okay, now get rid of that and just tell me what it is. Like a child.
Mhm.
So if I may, I want to talk more about your podcast. You even have a title, an idea.
I have a podcast.
Yes. Well, you have an idea. We're
I have
shopping.
an idea for a podcast.
Yeah.
Because again, I always go back to my unapologetic side, And so I was saying to Boris, I think I love the idea of incorporating unapologetic into my story, because I really want to know, and I want to find out, also, like I said, pulling back the curtains to find out why things are happening there and how they're happening. But also, I want to ask all of those people, what are you unapologetic about? Like, because we all know that we have that.
Yeah.
If I asked you, what are you unapologetic about? What would you say?
I would say that I'm not sorry for the way I express myself.
That's a good one.
I do tend to offend certain people. I do tend to cross the line with certain sect of people, and I do get reprimanded down the road. I mean, later on, whether it's in the comments, an email,
Okay.
a phone call, or a text message. I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
thank
but
you.
that's when you know you're successful, when people are listening. That's what you want.
What? You took the words right out of my mouth.
Yes.
I'm like, thanks for listening.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There you go.
There it is. Yeah.
Shay, what would you say?
I'm unapologetic for my mouth. I speak up. Don't I speak up on
Well, thanks for listening.
on any issue. I speak up on any issue, whether it's LGBT rights, whether it's the fact that I'm a pole dancer and somebody in the room thinks that's gross. Like, I just don't. I've never given an F about anything. Period. I've never cared about people's
That's
opinions.
the first time you said period all night. I am so proud of you.
I don't know. I really believe in being myself, because tomorrow is not given to me. So while I'm here, I need to unapologetically be myself. So
Good for
somebody
you.
around the corner
right.
that is just like me sees someone just like me and knows that is
Okay.
okay.
That is, there you
Exactly.
go. That is okay.
Bravo.
Mhm.
And
Bravo.
that's interesting to me.
Yes.
That's important to me,
Yeah.
because I think that we need to give people the opportunity to say, this is who I am. I own up to that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm unapologetic for that. And what's wrong with that?
But we judge that quality in them or whatever it is based off of our own opinions and how we feel towards that thing. So it's like, if you're wanting to do art and your parents aren't supporting you, it's because they don't think it's important, but that's based off of your opinion towards this.
Mhm.
That's based off of how you feel about it, and everyone feels different about everything. That's why we have artists. That's why we have different types of jobs. That's why we have different types
Yeah.
of passions and career paths, because there are so many options for us to explore.
Right.
Why is it when I have one that's safe, keeps me happy, keeps me healthy, keeps me motivated, why is that not okay just because you don't like
Right.
snowboarding? Like,
Yeah.
just because you don't
No,
like
snowboarding is extremely offensive.
But it comes from our own experiences.
Mhm.
And I think that you can't be unapologetic if you haven't had experiences that get you there.
Mhm.
That's
Well,
my feeling
you
about
have to fall on your face. You have to be called out in public. You have to be called out in private. Maybe even get your ass beaten.
Oh.
And that's I am unapologetic about being gay,
Mm.
because that was very difficult growing up in the 80s, being a young gay man, because nowadays you guys don't give a shit.
Mhm.
But my problem was nobody was defending
We have
me.
parades for you guys now.
Yeah.
Well, I
And
was gonna
colors.
say,
And colorful parades.
I was going to say, I'm a part of the nightlife. I've personally experienced and been a part of situations where, somebody is, a part of the LGBT community and someone in the room has a problem with it. And I've never once seen someone not defend them at this point.
This is interesting. I, as an older gay man, I feel very secure with young people. And it's interesting because 40 years ago, an older person like me might not feel secure.
Right.
But I know that you guys would never let a hate crime occur. Never. It's just, it's so out of their vocabulary, you know. That's why I love your generation.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank my parents.
Inclusive. It's the inclusive generation.
Yes.
I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
No, and it's refreshing. It's refreshing to see, like, right now, it's a bridge of generations right here at this table.
Mhm.
And for over an hour, we've been able to converse. We've been able to find out more about each other and find out a little bit more about the wonderful Kristy Lee.
Thank you.
And
The difference between a museum and a gallery.
Yes, the difference between
Very important.
the difference between a museum and a gallery. But Kristy, I don't want to take up too much of your time, and because I know you probably you wear so many hats, whether it's the painter, the promoter, the pusher of the product, all that. You probably don't have to, a lot. Time is a luxury for people like us.
I am so honored to be here. Are you kidding? I'm loving every minute of this. And Shay,
Told
you
you.
were such a pleasure to chit chat with too, being
Thank you.
another Libra.
Libra.
Libra season is coming up.
No,
Yeah.
you are a beautiful person inside and out.
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate that
Yes.
so much. I really try to emit that energy, and I try to just make sure that anybody that comes across me knows that they're safe around me,
I feel
knows
safe
that they're
around you.
accepted around me, and knows that no matter what comes out of their mouth, I'll believe you so long as you're telling me the truth, and I will help you if I can.
And that's so much of what we're doing at Mills,
Exactly.
and I'm going to give Boris the props here because, for Boris, and like he was saying before, wanting to help the artists, he lives by that. He's honest about that. Not just about the artists, but the art community, other charities, anything that we can help by doing something at Mills. I mean, he gives the gallery up for people to use for organizations.
And I give it for free because if you're raising money for a good cause, take it.
Right.
You know?
Who does that?
I have the space.
Who does that? That's amazing. So I'm honored to be part of the Mills team
The wonderful Boris, that's who.
and the wonderful, the wonderful Wizard of Mills.
Miss you, all of us. We're wonderful. No, one thing that I want to say in my defense, in my favor, is that talking about podcasts. When I decided to create a podcast, I decided not to read anything about it or to listen to any podcast because I didn't want to be influenced. And yes, I know that sounds extremely stupid. However, twice nominated for best podcast. But Patricia, do you think what I did that is just a miracle that it came together, or do you need to study and understand podcasting before you enter it?
When I launched Chaos, I did it with my friend Jess, who I met through Horror Nights, and we had zero clue
Oh, good. So it's not just me.
what we were doing. Our first, I said this before on previous episodes, where our first episode was a shit show. It was horrible. We didn't know what we were doing. I didn't know how to edit, and when the change of the lineup with co-hosts, or the change of the structure of the show, I stopped treating it more. I stopped treating it as a job, and I started treating it as I love doing this. I look forward to sitting down with different people each week to have these intellectual conversations. If you see me throughout the week, if we hang out throughout the week, you'll kind of notice I'm kind of quiet. I tend to be flamboyant and conversate with strangers because this is gonna sound weird. I was in Miami this weekend, and we had gone to my girlfriend and I had gone to a mall in Miami, and we have this thing of when we go somewhere and we see someone who's working, we ask them, "Hey, if you were off, what would you be doing today?" And we'd gone to a theme park a few weeks ago, and everyone at this theme park gave the exact same answer. I'm like, what would you be doing if you were off? They're like, nothing. And it was sad to hear that everyone at this job would want to be doing nothing if they were off. And then, we asked the same question here at this mall at Miami, and everyone gave a different answer. Oh, I'd be at the beach today. Oh, I'd be doing this with my dog. I'd be doing this. I'd be doing that. And I take that same approach when it comes to podcasting. I want to find out more about the individual. I want to find out more about how the society and this time has affected you, has affected your art, has affected your way of producing content, creating content, distributing content, things like that. So when I do an interview, before you even sat down and the days leading up to this, I didn't research you. I didn't look up anything about you. I didn't dive into your Facebook or anything like that, because I want this to be a genuine conversation. I want you to be able to be open with me, tell me what you feel, how you feel, and me reading off of that and not reading off of any notes, not reading off everything that I've written down beforehand.
And I love that.
This is more of a genuine conversation
Yes.
than an
And it
interview.
feels like it.
Yeah.
You know, because we talked about that before, and I said to him, because he said, like, if you had a podcast, like, how would you want to? Yeah, and he knows I study. You know, I'm typically one
like
who
a book she has.
I have a whole book already about what I should know, what I shouldn't know. But when you get to the actual thing, you know, I think that you have to be comfortable with what you're doing, and just like you said, the conversation just goes when it's real.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yeah.
think that that's the most important part of it. Just being honest, being true.
And I've always said to you, the audience that you're trying to gather is not fellow artists.
Yeah.
It's those people over there.
Yeah.
You know, that's the audience, you know, and I think
The curly
people
heads.
forget that. I keep forgetting that, you know. I'm supposed to aim for the youngins, but no.
And no, that's why, like, when I do shows, I don't aim for a specific age. I aim for everybody.
Yeah.
Last week, you know, I had a OnlyFans creator and an international porn star on the show. A few weeks
I'm jealous.
Why wasn't I here?
Yeah. Why weren't we?
Why
a
wasn't
few
I
weeks ago,
I wanna
I
pull
sat down with a local comic who is autistic but travels the country.
Oh, that would be a great guest for.
He's oh
Yeah.
Oh!
Yeah, Melissa. We got a guest.
you know, it's if I meet someone who I enjoyed those few moments with, like when let's say, you know, we met at a store in Miami.
Yeah.
And our conversation from that answer was like epic. You know what? Let's talk a little more. Let's get behind the microphone and let's capture this conversation.
Yeah.
Because this is something that I feel that you and I making, the energy that we have right now should be shared with everybody else.
Yeah.
I remember when I sat down with Shay last week. We were sitting in a theater in front, behind 158 other performers
In the back of the room.
in the back of the room because we just wanted to be outcasts at that point. And at this point, we've already been talking for 3 days. I look at her. I'm like, hey, listen, what are you doing next week? You want to be a guest co-host? Because of the fact that I found a new energy from this young lady here, that she's talented. She is talented. Then
Look at her. She's smiling.
you can't,
I like when people talk about me.
you can't measure it. You can't measure it. But
There's a Libra.
I picked up on something that, you know what? I feel like she would bring something to the table. And anyone who sits at this table, I know they will bring to the conversation.
Wait. Let's. We're talking about bullshit here. Now, I'm not calling you out. Not calling you out. But you and I have talked about what is the worst possible thing that can happen to a podcaster.
The worst possible, the guest canceling.
The guest sucks. The guest is boring. The guest refuses to talk about the reason they're probably at the show.
That's why you gotta have
That's
hosts.
like
that
a
are
porn
able to
star that
bullshit.
doesn't want to talk about porn. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I know, and that's why, like, believe me, we don't have to talk about porn. Believe me, when I've sat down with him before in the past, sometimes we don't talk about porn. We talk about just we got a comment from Melissa. She's like, I'm ready.
But I'm going to talk about your show in a minute, but we're just moving up here.
But no, just all in general. If it's not genuine, it's not real. And if it's not real, this generation is going to pick up on it.
Absolutely.
And just
Right.
Shut it down.
Hit skip.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I don't fault you for that, because our generation, we really don't know how to talk to you guys anymore. So we're like,
Wait a second. We don't even know what a podcast is.
that's true. You know,
I can't do it on the radio.
yeah. Well, the point, I think, is that your generation sees so many of us that are running the world right into the toilet, that are not helping the way we should.
Mhm.
And I think when you meet, when your generation meets people that are willing, hey, I'm gay, I'm an alcoholic, who
Mhm.
puts it all there on the table, and I want to help you.
Mhm.
I think that might be the only way that you will listen to us, correct?
I think my generation is 100% more willing to listen when the situations are approached in a way that is equally respectful. So, in the same way that I would approach you about a problem that I have, trying to have a conversation about it and trying to come to a solution, rather than approaching it in a respect your elders. And that's where that's something that we call bullshit on too, because we have we got some quick comments like, you're an elder, not mine. So, I don't have to, like, or whatever it is. But I feel like communication is key. And if we're nice to each other and if we say it the way that we would like to be spoken to back, that's how we're going to change. And my generation is so able to look at what is happening now, and we got 4 guys in the back already thinking about the 5 different ways that we can do it better than what they did, because they messed it up really bad.
Yep.
All they had to do was this. But if we go ahead and we do this, let's do this, that, and the third, and then we can avoid the problems ahead of the time. I think my generation is very focused on the future. I think
yes.
that we are so 4 steps ahead. It's not even funny. And that's where,
But
like,
technology has helped that a lot.
yes, because we're able, if we don't know something, because
Yeah.
mom and dad or grandpa, grandma didn't raise us and tell us what it is, I can Google it and I can learn about it, and I can go through
Hey, Siri.
Wikipedia, Google. I can go through all of the sources that have the same article and half of the same information, and I can piece together, okay, these facts I all found on all of these pages. This is how I can, summarize what's true, what's factual, what is actually something that's going to help me to grow and help me to innovate this. You know what I mean? Getting the bullshit out of the way is what we need to do.
So I completely agree with 100% of everything you said, because we have a young lady at Mills Gallery called Melissa Winston. Oh, by the way, her podcast is PFT Media's highest rated new podcast.
It's a great show.
It's a freaking great show.
It needed to be said.
She's young. She knows about computers. She's compassionate. She's caring. She's empathetic. That's the perfect image of you and her, the perfect image of your generation about caring. Like I told you, I feel safe around your generation. I didn't feel safe around your generation as a young gay man.
Right.
But now I do.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful gift.
That's
It's a beautiful gift.
Yeah.
It's incredible, Thank you.
Yeah, no. And Melissa Winston's show, What a Day Kids, is a great dive into the point of view of a teacher who works with children who of different spectrums of autism.
Have you listened to the quality of it?
It's a great show. It really is. Like there was her first episode. I was at the parking lot of the Seminole County Courthouse, and I had to go meet a state attorney because I was working. We had to review something of a case, and I was running late because I wanted to finish the freaking episode. I wanted to finish.
That's the best
addiction.
Review. We're going to use that review.
And she was talking about how controlling your anger in this episode, and immediately, like I went back. I started having like some flashbacks when I went to therapy for anger management, and I used to have anger problems.
I still do.
I do too. I have rage issues still, and Chris did too. Yeah, we all.
And no. Her podcast like spoke to me, and I remember when I ran into her at the memorial, I told her, "Listen, you got something. I mean, your podcast is insane." I don't know if it was at the memorial or somewhere else, but
I think it was at Maxine's. Yes.
Yeah, and I tell her like I'm still using that method in regards to like controlling your anger and stuff like that. So yeah, Melissa, I can't wait. And I told her that 6 months after
it's getting close.
After the drop of her first show, I want her back so we can talk and dive into like what about all the days.
The thing that is most delicious about Melissa's podcast is that she's now being used as a resource, being invited to talk on panels.
That's awesome.
Because there is no, she had this idea, you know what? I work with kids that have special needs. I want to create a podcast from the point of view of the teacher. And then the jewel is the very last 5 minutes of the podcast. She talks with one of her students.
And,
Okay.
oh my God, that's honestly the best part of the show.
It's brilliant.
It's the cherry on top because you hear it from such a beautiful, genuine, amazing human being, soul, whatever have you, and it just like it brings it puts so much things into perspective. Hearing it,
The reality.
the reality
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
the student.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But Melissa, we're going to talk in a few. I can't wait to have you back on the show. But
It means so much to me. I love it.
but coming back to you, Kristy, and as we're wrapping up, thank you so much for taking the time.
Oh my God, it's my pleasure.
To sit down with me, and I know this was kind of last minute. I know there. What big projects or what events do you want to tell people about
Oh my
coming
gosh. Things have been good. You know, like Boris said, I've been in quite a few of the galleries, so that's still ongoing. And I was just let know that I'll be at the Winter Park Art Festival. I was
Ooh,
That's a
chosen
big
for,
deal.
Oh,
for that. That's
Mhm.
pretty exciting. I've never done a festival before, but I said, you know what? It's Winter Park.
yeah.
It's my backyard. I might as well give it a shot. So I was accepted. I'm thrilled to death about that. So I have a few other things that I'm working on, but and possibly a podcast. Yeah. My podcast.
Called what is it? Unapologetically Speaking with Kristy Lee.
Something like that.
Yeah.
We're working on it.
Working title.
It's a work in progress.
But no, and Kristy, if you decide or you don't want help or any opinions or anything I can do to help you just launch that product, because if from the conversation that we've had for the past hour and a half is anything close to what your podcast will be, like
It is.
I want that to happen tomorrow. I want that to happen tonight. I want that to happen as soon as possible
I'd
because
be honored.
you
Thank
can't-
you.
I think you
can't
just
deprive-
offered a podcast.
you can't deprive that from the general public because whether it's your fans or followers that admire your art or your work or the contributions you give, now you're going to be able to reach a community and a set of people that have more power and have more influence to the world, just to the world in general.
That'd be amazing.
Patricia,
honored.
I love you.
Love you too, boys.
You are honestly
Thank you
the
very
best.
much. That, believe me, it means a lot to me. It really does.
And
Thank you.
I'm fascinated how this is going to work because, I'll find out how you do business.
You're going to talk to Patricia at that point.
Ooh.
Oh, definitely will.
Boris, is there anything you want to plug?
Well, yes. Obviously, Melissa, we took care of you. I do have two other podcasts that are coming out. One is called Tenor and Toneless
Okay.
with the tenor Rafael Cavero. And we talk shit about classical music. Not him.
Mhm.
I do. My whole point is I hate classical music. I don't get it. Why?
He hates art. He
Yeah,
hates
I
classical
hate
music,
classical
and yet look at where he is.
And
I
it's
love
because
classical
How does that
music.
happen?
well, I get to talk the
Seems-
truth.
I was gonna say it seems like you're liking a little bit more of what my generation has to offer and what my generation likes to. Yeah.
Exactly. And the other podcast is called Let's Get Married in Orlando with Maxine Earhart. So
And
this is,
I've been hearing about this podcast for quite a while. Like I'm waiting for the pilot to we're clear for takeoff.
let me tell you about this podcast. So I'm gay, and do you know what I know about marriage? How to avoid it.
Period.
And she's on her fourth husband,
Ooh.
and so, but it's a wonderful marriage.
Hey.
And so I thought, I think we're perfectly qualified to talk to young couples about marriage. We might be.
Yeah.
Because I think when you've been married 4 times, you probably know what to look for.
Mhm.
And I'm always fascinated when young people get married because my theory is maybe you shouldn't get married so early. Now you were married early and it worked out, and my parents did
45 years.
Oh.
I'm
Wow.
married. 45 years. Yeah.
Mazel tov.
I know. It's crazy.
too.
And I'm only 25.
Okay, I'm real bad.
How did
at
that
math,
happen? All right, so I'm not good at math. I'm an artist, after all.
But like she said, there are machines now that do all that. This has been great.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you one final question about Chris.
Go for it.
Because you, to me, represent the Orlando podcast community.
Thank you.
And what you do. How do you think Chris being nominated again during his death, is that because remember, he got in trouble for being nominated at all the first
I
time.
remember.
And now, what do you think? Do you think people are going to be kinder and gentler?
Well, here was the thing. The first time, it caught us all by surprise because of where the nomination came from, which was
Right.
the Orlando Magazine, a
Right.
very highly respected.
Hoity-toity, but we love you. We love you.
Hoity-toity, love you, Orlando Magazine. I mean, I've been nominated by Orlando Weekly three years in a row.
Oh yeah, congratulations.
Yes,
Thank you.
congratulations.
And first time where Legal Morse of Action, the legal podcast that I produce here with attorney Aaron Morse, we first year nominated. So
Like Chris.
I feel like I know what I'm doing when it comes to podcasting when I give my full effort.
Mm.
And there have been other projects where I've been the co-host, I've been the third or second mic. I've helped with the production, but like I wasn't at the helm.
If you're not holding the wheel, it could be an accident. It usually is.
Yeah, that I'll just leave it at that.
I just
But-
want to throw out there that I've seen you since before you had your podcast. I've seen you since you were thinking about the idea of making a podcast, like Tom and Dan, and then us going and being co-hosts. What were their names? The
Rick
Hot
and Anthony
Wings.
entering the black hole.
With entering the black hole, and like I've seen you from there and seeing how you're growing and seeing how your numbers are growing and seeing that you have this annual success and that you're also able to give back and help other people have that
There it is.
annual
There
success.
it is.
Like you're I just wanted to give you cool props real quick.
No,
you
I appreciate that.
But you haven't answered the question.
It speaks a lot because when we first heard that Chris had a podcast, we were like, seriously,
Believe me, so did I.
seriously, like, and no disrespect towards
no,
Chris, but like we were just like, really, bro? I've heard you on Enter the Black Hole. I've chilled with you. I've had a couple drinks with you. Really? Like, really? And then when he asked me to be interviewed, I took it. And I didn't know that
I'm glad you did.
the show was going to come out a year later.
Yeah, that's not how we do things
Yeah,
anymore.
it's a completely different approach, but I admire it. But that
worked. It
that was
worked.
the thing. When those shows came out, it showed us Chris's artistry. It showed us what he was capable of. It
His
showed us a
potential.
side
Yeah.
Yeah.
of Chris that none of us knew.
Mm-mm.
And I realized it 5 minutes into the show when I was a guest, and I'm like, oh, okay. So we're not hanging out. All right, cool. We're actually doing a show.
Yeah.
So like that's like when I got into, all right, let's take this serious. Because
Yeah.
even though I joke and have fun when I'm, doing a podcast or I'm guest starring on a podcast, it's the character that I am. It's the personality that I bring to the table, but it's the delivery. Like I'm going to treat it more as this is a real thing.
But
and
you
not
know what
just-
I'm hearing? I'm hearing the voice of experience.
Mm.
You know what you're talking about at this point.
Yeah, and,
Yeah.
and Chris knew what he was doing, and for the fact that he was nominated, it's because Orlando Magazine saw his talent and wanted to put a spotlight on what Chris was putting out there. And there are some shows that haven't been released yet that I'm waiting. I'm waiting to get my hands on those, and I'm waiting to see what was in the vault, because Chris spoke highly about everything that he was working on, and it blew us all away. And that's us helping continuing to keep the memory of Chris Fio alive not only just in the Orlando podcast community, but just in general.
Well, I think Chris Fio may have pulled a magic trick out of his behind, because he told me the Orlando podcast community is a lot like the Orlando art community. These galleries and museums, they're like little castles on themselves. We don't share, well, we do, we will give you our mailing list. We're like, they don't share their people, they don't share their artists. It's, and he said it's the same thing for the podcast community. You and I were going to change that.
Oh, definitely.
You and I were going to change that in his name.
Inclusive.
You and him and I. Do you have a podcast?
I do not.
Well, hello. Talk to us. We're all going to do it. Oh, and I'm having a podcast too. My podcast is going to be called Being Boris, and I'm going to talk some bullshit.
I was gonna say I would want to create a show
I
that was
think you
just
have
like
another
about
one
me
also,
being
don't you,
myself.
with,
'Cause,
With
man,
your other friend?
Wait, hold on. Well, that's not a podcast.
Oh, okay.
That's a TV show.
Sorry.
Art AF. Ted Bogart. Have you had Ted Bogart on?
I am waiting for the day where you say that name and I can pull the trigger
But
on
I've
that
given
one.
you all the Ted Bogart. You need to come on with a side of chaos. I've given you the
Yeah,
information.
you can talk about your show.
Come on,
No,
now.
I'm serious.
Come
Like
on,
I've
dog,
seen
come on.
Ted's shows, and that's
1,100 episodes. He
That's-
just got invited to India. Okay, listen to this. This is the last story. So he has this. I call it his little Facebook show, and he hates it, but it's not a little Facebook show. It has a huge outreach.
Yeah.
1,100 episodes. He was just invited. Get this, Patricia, to talk in India in front of 50,000 people because somebody in India saw his show.
all right. I need to focus on my Indian numbers because I actually
That's our new market.
I do have Indian numbers. I will say this: I
Yeah.
actually do have
I
Indian
know.
numbers.
Chris did too.
I will.
They were crazy.
I'm gonna. Hey, I love you guys. You guys throw amazing weddings. But
Yes.
with all that being said and done, Boris, thank you so much for
Absolutely.
making this happen.
You're my brother.
And you, dude, your family, your brother, you're everything, dude. And I look forward to the next conversation that we have, whether it's you and me or you, myself, and insert blank here. But as we're ending the show, Shay, anything that you want to plug or say as we're wrapping up?
No,
Okay.
I'm here. I will be back. Eventually, we're gonna have a lot of fun still again. What's up?
I do have a question.
What's
if
up?
I may ask.
Yeah, of course. I'm an open book.
Right. You said you dance.
Mhm.
How do your parents feel about it?
My dad is aware, and so is my mom. My dad is very much whatever. Like if that's I understand.
So interesting.
That's what you
Yeah.
my dad is very like that if that's what you have to do, that's what you're wanting to do, as long as you know that you're safe, as long as you're, they want to make sure that I'm not doing it in the way that they think of dancers. You know
Right.
what I mean? So
But
that's
it is an art.
that's yes.
It's just that it's
Yeah.
disgusting people around
Well,
you.
it's
but,
got an
Well,
old
because
stereotype.
the attitude, it has
Yeah.
an old stereotype
Right.
because being a dancer, I'm in that environment,
Yeah.
so I see the stereotype. I see
Yeah.
Players Club, and I also see the new age of what is coming, and in that, like, we're helping each other make money, we're helping each other learning tricks. Like, bottle girls are looking at us and they're like, teach me, and we're like, okay, like, let's do it. And my mom is very, very against it because my mom grew up in a town where if you farted over here, your mom knew about it when you got back home, and that was 2 minutes ago. So she's very closed off in that sense, but
But I think that comes from her being scared for you.
and she hasn't
Being a
tried
mother
to
myself.
she hasn't tried to stop me. She
Yeah.
hasn't tried to convince me that, she just gave me the warning of, hey, it could stop you from getting another job. And I said, well, if it does, I don't want that job.
Sorry, Patricia, I took over.
You're fine. No, I love.
It's my natural instinct. I need to ask you.
This episode title would be Fuck Boris.
Oh, no.
I kind of like that title.
No, please don't.
No.
Don't do that.
Fuck Shay.
Yes, please.
We're getting down now.
Well, with all that being said, thank you so much to Boris, to Kristy Lee, to Shay for making time to be
You're
part
lovely,
of
Shay.
Thank
this
you.
episode of With a Side of Chaos. And I want to say real quick to just, if you're listening to my voice, thank you so much for being part of the adventure of With a Side of Chaos. I've been doing this show for going on 4 years, and I could have done it without the help of so many people, whether Jess, my very first co-host, Billy Ortiz, who came along, talking with Alex from when we did the switch over from there, Salty Aaron, and everyone.
Hey, Aaron. How is Aaron doing, by the way?
He's doing good. He's doing
Yeah.
good. He was doing a couple of sets throughout Florida this weekend,
Yeah.
so he got out there. But yeah, I have so much more to do, and I'm excited with the progress that the show has had, with the success the show has had, and there's a lot more to come. And thank you so much to everyone who took the time out of their schedule to vote, to nominate, to spread the word, to just get our names out there. And although we didn't take the win with Orlando Weekly, the individuals who did, they've been working on that for years. Their art, their craft, their expertise, and their delivery is phenomenal. So congratulations to Tom and Dan, A Mediocre Time with Tom and Dan. Congratulations to Poking the Bear podcast for coming in second, and congratulations to the Nerdy podcast.
So listen to this. So, Patricio, I'm curious. Who won last year? I'm just curious.
Well, with Orlando Weekly,
No, with
the wonderful Chris Fio.
yes, that's about right. No, I mean, I have to be careful with this. First of all, this is amazing. We won Best Gallery. Thank you, Orlando Magazine.
Yes.
To be nominated is one of the
Into
most,
the mic.
to be nominated is one of the most exciting things that can happen to you.
Yeah.
It's your peers saying, "I appreciate you." You know,
That's correct. Yeah.
it is. I have no idea where I was going with this. Sorry, I'm having a moment.
Yeah, I was trying to say goodbye, Boris.
Goodbye.
Fuck Boris.
Goodbye, Boris.
But
That's my time.
That's the tagline. We gotta get it.
as always, if you're not laughing, you're not living. Live every day to the fullest, but always do it with a side of chaos. And I will see you guys soon. Bye.